Good afternoon, and thank everyone again so much for coming and joining us today for the 2019 Future Automotive Career Expo. We are so excited to have everyone at this event. And even though today's event, I know I've seen a lot of college students around, and I'm so glad that you're able to come today. We're also here to talk about how people who are already professionals, who are already in a career, who may not be college age, how they can find new skills. There are a lot of opportunities right here in Michigan. And to lead us in that discussion, we have our facilitator, Dr. Jason Palmer from the State of Michigan's Bureau of Labor Market Information.
Thank you very much, Alicia. And on behalf of the entire panel, thanks for giving us a chance to speak today. Let me tell you briefly about the bureau that I run. So we're a small bureau. We're in the state, and we're responsible for all of the data you might see on the workforce. So, the unemployment rate, job growth, all those numbers. But we also do a lot of research. And one of the products that we do is long-term projections. Where will the labor market be in the next 10 years, and further. So something I wanted to share that I think sets the panel up pretty well is when we look at jobs in the future, say 2026, we know that we're going to see a lot of growth. We're going to see employment growth, about 7%. But looking behind the numbers, that means 320,000 new jobs because of growth, new jobs. But that also means 500,000 additional jobs due to the need to replace workers. So people retiring, people changing careers. 500,000 new jobs needed, or people needed to take those jobs. And those workers come from all over. They come from school, they come from other careers, they come from out of state, wherever. That's the labor supply. That's the important piece. How do we get those workers trained and developed? And our panel will be great at talking about that. But I wanted to, in addition to that sort of data piece about how we expect to grow through 2026, sort of an important note about careers of the future is some data that we had. One of the other programs that we run allows us to look at the occupations in an industry. So if you look at autos, what is the mix of production workers versus the engineers versus the secretaries, the janitors? What is the mix of occupations in the industry? And I thought, talking to some of my staff, I said, we've got an article here. We're going to publish a really big paper. This is going to be a big splash because we're going to look at the auto industry in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and we're going to show how the mix of occupations has really changed. It's going from being all production workers to being, knowledge jobs and engineers. Would you believe the data didn't really show it? What the data showed was a fairly consistent ratio of occupations in the industry. And we said, how could that be? We hear so much that the jobs are changing in the industry. Well, when we dug into the data more, we realized the occupations weren't changing. The skills were changing. So while a worker would still be called a production technologist, as far as the occupation goes, what they were doing in their job was completely different. Instead of doing something manual, they were doing something, mathematical or something. So what we said is we've got to look at this a different way. Instead of looking at the occupation names, we have to look at the skills. And so I think that sets up a great discussion for this panel to talk about what they are doing, where they're coming from, to help get the workforce ready for those jobs, those skills of the future. So let me kick it off to the panel and start the discussion. Rose.
Good afternoon. Is this on?
Yep, it is.
Okay, great. I'm Rose Bellanca, the president of Washtenaw Community College in Ann Arbor. And what Jason has said is very, very true about the skill sets. And that's exactly what we are seeing is the need for additional skill sets. I'd like to since we are at the auto show and we are talking about advanced transportation, I'd like to just tell you a little bit about what we do in the area of advanced transportation at Washtenaw Community College. It's a very unique response to employer needs. We work very, very closely with the employer because the employer and the college both have the same interest. We both want a skilled workforce. We both want thriving businesses. We both want an economy, we want to raise the quality of life in the areas that we support. So that is why we listen at our college to what industry has to say. And so 6 years ago, we met with CEOs, not the workers, and I say this respectfully, but not the workers that were doing the job. We wanted to meet with the CEOs because we wanted to find out what is coming. We wanted to be there when they were there, and we didn't want to catch up. So what we did is we invested $10 million and created a center, the Advanced Transportation Center. If you want to stop by our booth, our venue is UA11. And what we do there, you'll see there's a list of technician training courses that we offer that are short term. Of course, we always offer the longer certificate, or if you want to go on and attain an associate's degree, you can. And before I share this with Doug, I just want to make one important statement. Now that everything is changing in terms of the workforce and what you need, the reason a community college is really important, and probably, when you're talking about a skill set, you can go to trade school and get a very good training, but when you leave, you have a very good certificate. When you come to a community college, it's like getting on a highway. When you get on the highway, you go on the entrance ramp. Maybe your destination is Chicago, but along the way, so you get on the highway, you're going to Chicago, and then you get off. And maybe you get off, but this is your career. Maybe your career set was Chicago, but you get off, you might use a skill, you might get a job, you might go to a university, you might do something else. You get off, but guess what? You get back on that highway, and you get on that highway, and you know what? Maybe you don't want to go to Chicago anymore. Maybe you don't. And you look and you say, oh, no, I'm going to take this direction because now I have a different path. But you didn't lose anything. You didn't lose that first investment in your career. You didn't lose that first step. It's still all applicable. And not only that, when we talk about lifelong learners, you can come back at any time and get a short skill. You don't have to go through a long registration process, but we can meet you right there. And our faculty work alongside of people in business and industry. And if we don't have the right person, we get the right person. So I'm going to hand it off to my esteemed colleague here, Doug.
Thank you, Rose. I'm Doug Smith.
You do a good job there, too.
Doug Smith, and I'm the Executive Director for Workforce Development and Lifelong Learning at Oakland Community College. And I think, the skills gap is what we're trying to tackle. And I do think the community college is the right place to tackle that. We can only do it by working closely with the K-12 system as well as with the four-year institutions. But the heart of solving that skills gap, of providing the kind of training and education that's needed today is, as Rose said, it's going to be short-term. It's going to be when I need it. And I think, one of the big battles we all face is, first of all, awareness. And that is, we need to be able to get parents and students and counselors aware of the STEM careers, that manufacturing is not the dark, dirty, dangerous activity that it was before. There's still a little bit of it left, but a lot of it is high-tech. And so we have to get better at awareness. And we're involved, both colleges and most of the community colleges are involved in some of those awareness activities. One of those is clearly what was done, I think one panel before was about FIRST Robotics. Unbelievable program for exposing students, parents, counselors at an early age, all the way from elementary school on, to the fact that there are viable careers in the STEM area. Awareness. My Career Quest that we had 8,000 students in Oakland County at the Suburban Collection just 2 weeks ago. 8,000 students came, and it's not a job fair. Every company that was there, 212 companies, had to actually have a demonstration project the students could do hands-on. Most people learn best by doing, or learn best what they wanted to do by doing it. And so I think the awareness campaign is one that we need to invest in those programs like First Robotics, like My Career Quest, Manufacturing Day, and we're all active in that. From the standpoint of curriculum, one of the things that we're doing a little bit differently than we've done in the past at OCC is we have a global endorsement, recognizing that there isn't any sector of the economy that doesn't have and wouldn't benefit from workers that have some exposure to an international experience. So we've got the global endorsement. We've just started, and as Rose started out, the only way we're going to solve this problem, the only way we're going to get talent and skill that is needed by business and industry is for us to work more closely with business and industry. And so we will start a MOPAR program because we sat down with Chrysler or FCA and said, okay, what do you need? They literally came in and wiped out our whole auto servicing program. We started all over, and this spring we'll have a brand new servicing program, and it'll be it'll be as a partnership with FCA. And then what I'd like to do is I just want to bring to you, yesterday we had a SEMCOG meeting. SEMCOG is the data source for a lot of us in terms of economic development in the area. And we had a literally 3 hours, we sat together and talked about the issues facing lifelong learning. And there's some that you might not think of, but clearly was access and funding for upskilling the workforce. Most of the state and federal funding in the past has always been for new employees, and a lot of the attention has been to new employees. And that's why we go back to the community college. But in fact, the largest task we have is recognizing all that talent that we have in the workforce today, but upskilling it and changing it so that as their jobs change, they can keep those jobs. That was number one. Number two was the role and number of counselors and advisors. You've all heard. I mean, I think we have one counselor in high school for 700 some students, and so there's no way we can depend, we can ask the counselors to do more than they're doing today. Wraparound services, and for lifelong learning, you don't think about this, but oftentimes when we run programs, transportation is a huge issue for some people. And so making sure that we're integrated with health and human services and those services that are needed, whether it's daycare, it's dental work, or it's transportation. We need to do a better job of working with other services. And then there's the whole issue, back to high school for just a moment. When we talk, we keep talking about vocational tracks or college prep, and it really has to be and. They're both career paths. And going down what has been the vocational or CTE path doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to someday end up in a 2-year or 4-year degree program. So you really have to watch the language we're using. Rose?
I'd like to ask the audience a question. How many of you are either are transitioning or thinking of transitioning into a different career? Okay, good. How many are looking for a new career? Oh, well, that'd be almost the same, right? Anyone in college right now? Okay, so I'm going to put a plug in. I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but if I'm not, just erase it.
You do have the microphone.
Okay. It's a YouTube site. It's called alux.com. ALUX.com. And it's a site for like billionaires. And they give advice. They do a lot of 15 traits you need for this, or how to get rich overnight, but there are so many good tips on that site, that YouTube, to direct you as to where you might want to look for additional information. So alux.com, and I'm not paid by them or anything. I don't get anything out of it, but that would be a great place for you to look, seriously, unless you want to call me, and then of course I'll sign you up with a really good program. But okay.
And I want to add to one of Rose's comments before about that seamless highway. That's really the structural change that has to happen in education. It has to be kind of on time. It has to be when I need the skill set, I can go and get short-term training for that skill set. Employers don't come to me and say, I need workers 2 years and 4 years down the road. It's, I need a worker now. And too often they don't think about their own workforce. And so incumbent workers have to be more of the attention that we have. But I think the huge change in education has to be that today, education and qualifications, when you're asking somebody what your qualifications are for the job, They're based on degrees that are basically either age or, completion. I'm missing something. It's either age or seat time. And I can't tell you what that means to me in terms of competencies. We have to do what we've said in education for a long time, and that is we have to begin to talk about competencies as being what we're all about.
It was really important to the panel that we had time to address any questions from you. What questions do you have for us? Please.
You guys come from a community college background, but then there's a lot of other opportunities, whether it's from something like Grand Circus or Udacity is a fully online program. How do you see these various, or even coming in up Detroit Mobility Labs? I know that's coming together. Where do you see community colleges fitting into that? And if you're contemplating a career move but can't put in full time, what do you think is the best path? And obviously it depends on what you want to do, but I'll put that out there.
I look at those different modalities and opportunities as not as competitors. And at the college, we look at that and try to work with that. And actually, we actually contract with some of those companies to offer some of our own programs. Now, there's two different kinds. There's the one that gets you a certificate that is something you can transfer, and then there's the certificate where you get a certification from business and industry. The other one, you can get both, but one maybe isn't a credit-bearing class, but it's still excellent. I highly recommend looking at all those options. As I said earlier, it's about you. You're the CEO for the rest of your life. Whatever your name is, I'm Rose Bellanca, CEO, in charge of Rose Bellanca's life. Rose in Bellanca. That's who's in charge of my life. So if I need the education, I'm going to find it wherever I can get it. However I can afford it, as fast as I can, the quality. And it doesn't always have to be an education. Even if somebody watched YouTube while you're getting ready for work for 10 minutes. I know that's not going to get you a job, but it could open up your mind to something else. Just listen. That's my advice.
I think it's a great question because we all learn differently today than we did 10 years ago. We have so many more sources of learning, whether it's online or it's, Damien down at Grand Circus teaching coding. And somehow we've got to figure out how to collaborate between all those systems. One of the things that I think is badly needed is you have K-12 and community colleges working together. You have companies that do a lot of training, and you have unions. And yet we've really never figured out how to work together. We talk to one another, but I think those are the three big when you look at entry-level positions. And so with all those different forms of learning, we do need to change. I think education at all levels needs to change. I think, when you talk about what we can do, what I'm trying to do with OCC is we need to become part of the retention programs of companies. Because how they retain employees, the skills that they retain them, if we're not partners with them in their retention programs, we should be out of business.
So yeah, you're right. And we're opening up a career transition office. So if you are going through a transition or thinking about a transition in your career, we have an advisor there that can meet you. And the whole goal of that advisor is not to tell you what classes you have to take. No, that's not their role. The role is to, work with you to help you think about the pathways you might decide to encounter. So that's really important.
And I really think there's a lot more information now for you when you're changing careers. Oakland County and some of the other counties do it, but there's lots of data sources that now you can go online. And if I want to be a cosmetologist, I can find out what I can make during a lifetime. So you can find out if you're in a dead-end career or if you're in a career that has advancement. There's more information now than ever before out there. I'd be a little self-critical here, and I'm overstating it, but we're still kind of in a 50-minute lecture mode in the classroom, and that's not how people are learning today. So you'll see the community colleges, I think, changing dramatically. And people learn best by doing, and we've got more and more internships and more apprenticeships. That's really going to be, I think, the wave of the future. But we're already at that business today in the community colleges.
Great. Well, we have 25 seconds left, sir.
Dr. Rose, you just recently dropped the automotive repair department at Washtenaw?
No.
Oh, you did not. I thought
No.
there was a transition in that.
No, are you talking about auto body repair? The
Maybe it was
body,
auto body,
the
okay.
yes, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, stop by UA11
I
and
will.
see what they have done there.
Okay.
Probably the transition is, as you know, in industry, people aren't working in silos anymore. So that program has been blended with the whole Advanced Transportation Center. But no, that program has not been dropped.
And I have to say, we don't have a booth, but I do have some pamphlets back there that list all the technical programs that we provide. We provide over 100 degree and certificate programs because I think, as Rose has said, I mean, the future is in short-term training. It's in nationally recognized certificates. It's in digital badges. It's those forms of training that I think are going to be the front door for education in the future. With all due respect to the 2-year and 4-year degree, we still need those. You need to open up opportunities, but not everybody needs that. I saw a Harvard article this morning. 13 million bachelor degree holders are sitting in jobs today that do not require a bachelor's degree.
What a great panel. Will you please join me in thanking Rose and Doug?
Thank you.
Thank you.
11.